What is going on, everybody? Landon here with Home Service Business Coach. Got Dave to my right or your left, the founder at Home Service Business Coach. Now we're at the final stage that we're going to cover here at Home Service Business Coach, and that is $1 million plus. Could be 2, 3, 4, whatever stage that is. This is stage 6, and it's all about leading, leadership, and again, leading where you want the company to go as well. Now, this information, okay, for you watching and listening, either you've just graduated from stage 5, maybe you found us online somehow, maybe you're on our website. If you have not yet grabbed your copy of our personalized scaling roadmap, fill out the information here. We'll send it to you, email, check your spam or junk. We've got so much more information. We're gonna keep it high level here on these video trainings for you. But Dave, why don't we kick us off here? I'll kind of run us over here, and then I really want you to maybe, I'll let you kind of pick.
Sure.
I'll let you pick. But anyway, so if we're at stage 6 here, we're at $1 million plus business, right? Could be $1 million electrical, exterior, interior cleaning, landscaping company, you name it. But you're here. 10 plus employees. Your role is the CEO, not the chief everything officer, but the chief executive officer. You're at 7 figures. You own a real business. We're hoping it's running profitable. Revenues for vanity, profit is for sanity. But at this timeline, 24 plus months. The reason why we even put a timeline at this stage is to keep everything consistent. You can grow this until you're blue in the face. Really, there's no timeline. Number of contractors here. We started at stage 1, 3 million. Best numbers I could get is about 25,000 across the entirety of North America. That is the best. You're in the top 1% of the 1% doing this as well too. So if you've reached this, pat yourself on the back, but there's still stuff you need to work on. Okay, so Dave, why don't I kick over to you? Yeah. I'll cover the bottom line, sure, and then I'll kick it over to you. So last thing here, what is holding you back at this stage is the business is limited by the psychology of the owner, okay? The owner, and then secondly, the owner must decide what path they want to take the business. Where do they want to take the business? We're going to touch on that in a bit later, but Dave, I'll kick it to you.
Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, the companies that I work with specifically in our mastery program, it's really a lot of our conversations center around leadership and how the owner is actually leading their organization. Okay, you've got a real business here with real staff members that have families, they have spouses, and they're looking up to you for direction. So I've always found that in my journey, we can see all these books here in front of us. I've always tried to stay ahead of the curve of my team and be working on myself first, and I know that the business will follow. So I really see $1 million business is just an owner that's actually invested in $1 million mindset. It's Jim Rohn who said, don't make $1 million for the sake of making make $1 million for the person that you need to become to be worthy of making the $1 million. And here's the thing we'll say too, for everyone, $1 million of revenue does not mean $1 million of take-home profit for the owner. Generally, what we see and we teach is for the business to facilitate a 15 to 25% net profit margin after paying everything, including the owner. Yes, it could be lower, years of growth. Yes, it could be higher if you camp in this for 36, 48, 60 months and you just run this beautiful cruise control business. We'll get in that in a minute when we graduate. But the big stuff going on here, you got some decisions to make as an owner. You likely have a sales consultant that is maxed out, selling usually 750 to $1 million and change. Usually the owner at this stage, Landon, will dip in, and do kind of their quote half days for the big contracts type of thing. So the owner can kind of cheat and sit in this like super quote part-timey role. But you should also have a manager that can oversee the cruise at this point. And you might, for marketing, man, you might be working with a marketing agency that's doing a great job, but you also might be considering at what point, we did this at Revive, at what point do we hire full-time and bring on, we call them a marketing coordinator, someone who can run quarterback and know all the numbers of the marketing department. So that's kind of like quick and messy, what's going on at this level and holding back growth from getting to be multi-7 figures and growing beyond.
Yeah, and another thing I want to touch on as well too is right to a finance component of the cash flow. Like you're riding this like crazy roller coaster, again, especially if this is your first or second year reaching kind of that 7-figure plus mark, is you're going to have a lot of one-time expenses coming up, okay? That is if you decide to continue to grow the business. You're going to have a lot of one-time expenses like new trucks, rigs, equipment, opening up new locations, new marketing expenses, business loans, all this stuff in order to grow. And this is where, maybe 25,000, maybe half of these individuals are like, I'm going to peace out here. I'm good. I'll kind of run it for 48, 60, whatever. And just kind of turn it into the most profitable cash flowing machine I possibly can. And that's completely fine. You're the owner. You need to figure out where you want to go. But finances is really going to hold you back, right? So the organization, then I want to move on to kind of, again, how do we graduate from these things? At this point, the business is running without the active involvement of the owner. And this is where we've seen you can kind of rest on your laurels and kind of get a bit lazy here because you're not really super involved. And if you are, you're revenue-wise at stage 6. Maybe you're at stage 4 though when it comes to operations. Maybe you need to go back and watch some of the training to implement this stuff. But at this point, you should be pretty hands-off, right? And that's where, again, owners can get lazy. They were like, oh, okay, well, we'll just kind of continue to run it where it is, so on and so forth. They don't have the proper systems in place. They're team members that they've had with us forever, or you've had with them with yourself forever. They don't really listen to any changes you try and implement. Well, what happens if I lose them? There's so many different questions. That's where you as the owner will jump into graduation here. Yeah. The bottom line, I'm going to read the bottom line, then I'll let Dave rip on this in more detail. Bottom line, how to graduate. The owner needs to make a firm decision on the future of the company to ensure a bright future for the owner, employees, and clients as well. Okay, so at this point, you need to know where you're going to go. And Dave, I know you got a lot of experience with this.
Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, the owner really, there's nothing wrong, no wrong decision, by the way, right? The owner, though, needs to decide where to take this one of 3 paths, which I'll unpack in a sec. Because as Landon said, the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is just sit back, because it's kind of like a car going down a hill. Like, you're not pressing on the brake, you're literally just coasting. What happens when we coast? We just go downhill. So you got 3 options. 1, you can automate it into a cash flowing asset. Now, I want to be extremely cautious with that word automate because it's a sexy buzzword. I believe in automation to a large degree, but you are not going to learn from us that we're going to say this is a 2-hour work week, you peace out and do nothing. The owner carries, Landon, this mental load 24/7 of the business, even if they're not physically there. For me, it was my name on the leases, on the trucks. I've got, this fiduciary responsibility to my employees driving around providing services. We work on a lot of $3, $4, $5 million homes. What happens when the techs screw up? It comes to the owner. So that's why I don't love this automate. The word I hate, man, is effortless, right? There's effortless it requires so much effort to build this. And I just want to be honest and transparent. So that's the first one. So if you want to take the next step in scaling your business to the next level, you're going to want to check out our Scaling Blueprint program. We've worked with hundreds of home service business owners now all around the world, where we've actually built out the systems for them in their customized branding and provided them with coaching from our 7-figure coaching team. If you want to learn more about that opportunity, then go ahead and click the link right here. You can create it into a beautiful cash flowing asset. One thing I'll say with this too, you're either camping with your business or you're climbing. If you want to camp for 2 or 3 years, knock yourself out. I know I did it with my business. Revenue grew modestly, but we just sat in a nice place where it was able to run without my active having to be there, okay? Number 2, continue scaling for growth. A lot of people are watching this. $1 million business. My soccer coach told me this all the time. Dave, you should be pleased, not satisfied. I see what you're doing. I see the potential. I can take you there. We've worked with companies, man. They come in. Trey, one of our coaches, came in with me, 300 grand business. Fast forward 3 seasons later, clearing past $2 million, right? Like, Trey, please, not satisfied. He's gonna be number 2. Continue scaling the business for growth. And then there's number 3. You can look at selling the business as well. And this is a whole nother presentation and process that I've walked through as well. And it has to come to what's the decision for the owner, where do they want to take it? So again, none of these 3 are wrong, Landon. The only thing wrong, I would say, is not making a decision at this level. But this, for me, stage 6 is kind of like you get a gold star, you've graduated, well done. You've kind of like rounded through the base path and you're back at home plate and you're like, do we take more swings and do it again, or what happened? So I just wanted to give my couple minute spiel on these 3 things, because those are really the 3 options that I see.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you're wanting to kind of go into step 2, this is the steps you need to take. And that's what we're talking about, right? And this is, again, too, we'll get a lot of owners or people that, we'll talk to at this stage, and the individuals that we have, because you can see there's not a lot. You're like a dying breed or going extinct or whatever. You're very, very rare compared to overall market cap when it comes to contractors here. It usually just, if you want to grow, you don't have the infrastructure in place. Maybe your tech stack's not there or your organization's not there. And if you're wanting to automate this into a cash flowing asset, you get coaching to provide you with accountability, because nobody's probably providing any accountability to you. Maybe your team is, maybe your managers are, I hope they are, but at the end of the day, you're the one that owns all the shares of the company. There's so many things we could rip on here about ownership, about franchising, setting up satellite locations, whatever the heck that thing is. You just need to figure that out as the owner. And again, too, let's say you make a decision. I'm going to sell the business or grow the business or automate the business. Now what's the plan? Which we'll jump back into here. What's holding you back? Because I just want to touch on literally this. What's holding you back mindset? I haven't yet found a specialized guide to show me exactly the next steps are in scaling. Remove the word scaling and put automate, grow, or sell. That's what Home Service Business Coach. That's why we exist, to help show you. Now you have your plan. What's your process? Okay. So if you found value to this is the last video we're going to find. Share it with somebody, like we said, share it with somebody that was going to benefit from this, okay? Because we spent hundreds of hours putting this thing together, right? We know growing your business to $1 million is one of the hardest things, but just like raising a child, it's probably the most rewarding thing. Dave, you know better than I. But Dave, would you want to leave off any kind of last words to the individual watching, stage 6?
Yeah, I think it's a pat on the back for sure. You've achieved some level of success and scale with your business, but I think anyone who's been on a hike before knows you see the next mountaintop and then you get there and you want to do the next one. And if you're anything like me, you're very entrepreneurial. You're always wanting to move to the next thing and you don't like sitting back. And so we just wanted to lay out, these are your options that you have at this stage. But I think the big thing, man, we want to just do is thank you for, sticking through this training with us. You are kind of like tip of the pyramid here. You've hit $1 million. And so our only asks coming through this training would be that you share it with a friend, like Landon said, plug it in a Facebook group, send it to a buddy who owns a home service business that you think has, the chops to grow it. Because we want to just put the best resource in your hands completely for free. And as this is hosted on our website, see what our clients are saying, how we've scaled them up over 7 figures. Go read some of our Google reviews, because it's my hope as founder, we're still early in our journey, but we wanted to be the highest rated coaching business, which we've done. And we've done that all strictly on member success. So thank you so much for sticking with us and watching, and go ahead and check out the next video below.